Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
And yet, another senseless murder victim is counted today as a homeowner who was asleep at home in Salinas, California, was awakened to a noise coming from outside the home. The homeowner, a vile, wretched gun owner, then spotted someone near his garage. After arming himself, the homeowner went to the garage to investigate and found a helpless burglar. The homeowner shot the helpless burglar, who was then transported to a local hospital. According to a news outlet, the helpless criminal is now just another innocent victim of gun violence, citing this is why we must disarm the public and eradicate the Second Amendment so that the innocent will not be harmed.
You are on the firing line, with Matt, Joe, and Kanani. Be a part of today's show by giving us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, give us a call at 928-1440. Wow, that's a interesting encounter there.
Can you believe I read that?
But the thing is, I mean, unfortunately, there's so many, it doesn't name anything specific, but news outlets, we'll just go with that broad spectrum. There's so many of them do turn things like this. The poor burglar got shot,
And the wretched gun owner, he's a criminal just for having a gun.
If you own a gun, you're a criminal, hands down.
Unbelievable.
Of course.
But this is the rhetoric that's
ask
from
Bloomberg.
the extreme left, Yeah, just ask Bloomberg. Which, by the way, is what today's show is going to be about. Bloomberg and Every Town for Gun Safety. Which is kind of an appealing name, right? I mean, don't we all want gun safety after all?
But what do they mean by gun safety?
This is the question to be asked.
Well, yeah, that's like the whole public safety, guise that they use.
Legislate gun safety. Don't teach responsibility.
Yeah, that's literally what they want to do, though. So it's scary. But so all too often these things get drastically skewed, and it doesn't help the Second Amendment at all. That's what's kind of a shame.
No, it doesn't. And wasn't it? We talked about this a few shows back where we said that when laws get changed and nobody really fights it, then the new generations come along and they think it's the norm, and then they would scream hell to change that law because, hey, why would you change that? We need that. That's been a part of us this whole time. Yeah. So it's, Bloomberg, this guy has been around. He's tried all kinds of different tactics. We're going to talk about some of those today and talk about some of the true facts behind some of these different things and kind of give you guys what I believe is a good perspective and a more honest perspective of how things should be looked at. Because obviously they're just building a name off themselves and riding on everybody else's coattails and writing along the very thoughts that, hey, they're doing a good job and they're doing a good thing. Yeah. When the truth of the matter is, no. And also, I really wonder what the agenda is in the bigger picture.
Yeah, what's the ultimate goal here?
Get rid of guns.
Yeah, right. But why? Isn't that...
Yeah, once the guns are gone, then what will they be able to do? I mean, what end justifies the means here?
Pacify the people to pass their agenda.
Ooh. Absolutely.
Ooh. Yeah.
And we already know that the people like Bloomberg and other politicians are out there that do believe in a one world government, do believe in doing some pretty wacky things out there. So I think that is part of the bigger picture, and not to be putting on a tinfoil hat, but we do have to think that there are these other possibilities.
Well, I don't think it's a paranoia. I think it's just being aware of what's going on and then being prepared for it and keeping your eyes open for clues that will lend you to what they really want.
Yeah. That's true. And like Joe was saying, you don't want to get too caught up in all the, conspiracy stuff. You try not to, the hoopla. You try and think realistically without going there as much as possible. But when you start seeing guys like Bloomberg, who has dedicated his career to these things of, outlawing guns, making them seem so evil. What is the ultimate, I mean, there has to be an agenda that, he's just not going to sit back and smoke his cigar and be happy with it once there's no guns. He'll be happy once he gets his billions of trillions of dollars or whatever it is.
When he gets his way.
Exactly.
Whatever exactly that's going to be.
When you can only drink a 5-ounce soda.
Yeah.
That's his perk.
and smoke vapor cigarettes only.
I'm pretty sure he hates those things. So.
Wow. Gateway.
Yeah. It's a gateway to guns.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually what they really believe.
We should try it. We should start that right here
You know.
and see if it makes it out there. That the e-cigs are a gateway to guns.
And wait until they pull out all the graphs and all the numbers
pie
and stuff
chart.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make it look like they've got the facts. Well, look, he's got paper. He's got proof right there.
Yeah.
He must be right.
Yeah, he smoked tobacco. He has a gun.
He must.
I mean,
Evil, bad criminals, I tell you.
man.
All right, all funniness put aside until the next good joke. Today we are, like I said, going to be talking about Everytown for Gun Safety. This is a new project that Bloomberg has started. As a matter of fact, he's pledged $50 million to this project. He's also assimilated 2 other groups. These groups would be, let's see here, Mayors Against Illegal Guns and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
Oh, man.
It's kind of funny that he's doing this because, number one, we've already seen that the Mayors for Against Gun Violence is pretty much failed. And so he's had to take them and assimilate them so that he can have a big group or, well,
Right.
not even a big group,
Larger,
just a group.
yeah.
Just to start this whole thing off with. And then, of course, he's adding the mothers or the Moms Demand Action again for Gun Sense in America. And one thing that I find very true about both of those groups that he's pulled in is they use tactics like the Brady campaign. The Brady campaign, we've already read articles on the show that has stated it's okay to lie to get your point across. We just need to get it across. And if that's the kind of mentality that we've gotten from these types of things, from the Brady campaign or these 2 groups, what does that say about this new group he's formed?
Yeah, why
It's the
should
same
we
group.
trust him?
But
Yeah,
it's the same bunch of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, with a different, they're wearing a different outfit,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah,
Yeah.
same people.
Let me change
I
the
mean,
color of my hat.
Is Bloomberg putting up $50 million of his own cash? Is that what
That's what it sounds like, or at least he's promised that. And
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's so devoted. Like, I don't know, that blows my mind that he's so devoted. Well, you're going to spend $50 million of your own dollars for something like this.
well, it's like we were saying just before.
Yeah,
well,
because he
guess-
was
a drop
$30
in-
billion.
I guess when you're a multi-billionaire,
Yeah.
50 million is just a little.
15 billion.
But all right, well, it's hard for me to get my head around that.
He could go out, rent buildings, and pay for kids to go to the Eddie Eagle program and do a lot better.
Yeah. Why not?
But the Eddie Eagle program is just brainwashing those children to love guns.
Oh, very.
Not true, but that's what they're trying to push,
It's
right?
not teaching them anything. It's all brainwash. It's like a Russian internment
I
camp.
didn't jump in, but that's what they were saying. The big message was from a lot of the press is they're not that impressed by this. They're saying you could use $50 million to do a lot of other really great things.
Well, that's a great
especially
point.
in New York City.
Buy me a new car.
Yeah, Joe wants a new car.
That would be a
man.
great thing.
Yeah.
What about
50
women's
million
shelters? Are what we need, and what about
Oh, God,
kids
yes.
who can't make it through school? What about scholarships to kids who can't get into college? I mean, what about
There's
some other
hungry
things?
Yeah,
people out there.
there's-
There's so
There's
many
many other
things.
things you could be doing, and that's what they really. And there was a lot of press that were going the other way
Well,
on this.
That's good to hear.
That is positive.
Because
I mean,
that's the kind of stuff we need going on. This is not going to take it anywhere. And as we get into today's articles that we have lined up, you're going to start seeing that a lot of the numbers were skewed, and a lot of the information that was brought up is just rhetoric. It's baloney. Malarkey. Or as the English say,
Rubbish.
rubbish.
nice tack.
Well, the other thing that I noticed, and I know that we'll talk about it later, is one of the articles you had posted has a study by the National Academy of Sciences where I went through and I read probably a good 70 pages of it, and it's all made up stuff.
Right.
It's probably 130 total, but it's just made up stuff that is opinion where they've either gotten a fact or a statistic and then skewed it to support what they want.
Yeah.
So, and that's what they're using to support these, using their numbers and their statistics for safety, every town
Where's
for
the
gun
accountability?
safety.
Right.
I mean, I know we've said that. We've asked this
Yeah, we've
question
asked.
on just about every front we can. But where is the accountability?
Wow, that's a great question. Where is the
I
accountability?
mean, how can you write 130 pages of BS and expect
And
it
call
to,
it science,
and call
though.
it science, exactly, and call it something that's factual?
Yeah.
Science. I
Like
mean,
I said, you put up the big graphs, you put up all
Yep.
kinds of numbers.
Yeah, that's
looks like it's got to be real. I mean,
It must be,
The smoke and
right?
mirrors
It
show.
sounds really, really good. And we're quoting other people who are also scientists, quote unquote. So,
welcome to the big show, ladies
Yep.
and gentlemen.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back to you, and we're going to talk about Bloomberg. Bloomberg's mayors against illegal guns falling apart first off, so that we can jump right into Bloomberg to spend $50 million to challenge NRA on gun safety. This was written by Leah Ann Caldwell, Kevin Bond, and Ed Payne, and it's kind of an interesting article to point out just kind of what their little playbook and what some of their ideas are. So it's always good to have the information from the other side and talk about it. We'll be right back with you on the firing line.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Now a great word from Santa Maria Motorcycles, formerly Santa Maria Harley-Davidson, located at 2022 Presker Lane. They are dealers for Honda, Kawasaki, and Harley-Davidson. Grab your family and go see the museum, filled with exciting older bikes that you won't see anywhere else on the Central Coast. As well, they are the #1 motorcycle dealer on the Central Coast with the largest inventory around. Go in and see Martin Buchanan, or you can give him a call at 805-928-3668. You can also go visit them every first Thursday of the month for Bike Night. Starts at 6 p.m. Have a great time with your family at Santa Maria Motorcycles.
We're happy to have a special guest here today at the Plumbing Talk Studios, Jeremy Griffin, owner of Griffin Plumbing in Orcutt. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jeremy, the reason your plumbing company is called Griffin Plumbing is that your last name is, in fact, Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable. Griffin, just like the legendary creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move, Jeremy.
I'm a genius.
To name your plumbing company after this majestic creature. A creature known not only to have divine power, but also to be a protector from all things evil.
Well, it is my last name.
Audience, listen carefully. If your plumbing devices are threatened in any way, I implore you to seek the power and protection of the Griffin.
We're always here to help. Just give us a call.
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440.
That's right. You're back on the Firing Line. And we now have Bloomberg under the scope.
Yes.
The microscope.
The scope.
But, you know, I mean, we got all kinds of stuff lined up. I guess nefarious activities that this joker has going on in his lifestyle. You know, things like throwing $50 million against the NRA and trying to get his cronies to throw their 2 cents at it. So I mean, let's get into it and kind of talk about it. And if you guys, give us a call if you want to talk about Bloomberg or anything else about it. 1-888-625-1440, or if you're local, 805-928-1440.
All right, well, the first article we have is Bloomberg's Mayors Against Illegal Guns Falling Apart. Granted, this was written in 2013 by Terry O'Brien, but it's interesting in some of the statements that they make here. Basically, what it goes out to say is that first let me give you some facts. There are approximately 19,429 mayors in the United States. Part of this group was 1,000 mayors, which he tries to say is a large percentage of mayors are part of his group, right?
It's a percentage, but it doesn't mean it's a large percentage.
Well, actual numbers there.
Right.
So what we found out was that a lot of these guys, of course, during this time, some of them were voted out, some of them resigned, and the reasons that they resigned was because of how Bloomberg was going about his whole process. For instance, so there was, let's see here, there was one that says the original focus was going on to be on focusing on better enforcement of our existing laws. And they didn't do that. They tried to make new laws instead.
Yeah,
and so these guys were like, that's not what we signed up for.
Right.
So away they went. And
Well, I think their idea of what gun safety and illegal guns was completely different than what Bloomberg was trying to. Well, what they were trying to sell them was in line with what their thought was, but then the actual delivery of it was not what they really believed in.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like you were just saying, you can get 130 pages. That's proof, right?
It's proof right there.
That's parentheses proof.
Well, and speaking of how they get their proof, you know what? Some of the statistics that they use, how they boost their numbers, is they count the criminals as victims. Which is why I wrote that first thing today for our encounter. And it goes on to say in this article, let's see if I can find it. Okay, it includes the Boston bomber Tamerlan Tsarnaev in its list of victims of gun violence.
Really?
So they used
he
him
was a victim
as a victim
because he got shot by the police after blowing up a bunch of innocent civilians in downtown Boston.
I'm sorry, but that's not a victim.
No, not at all. I mean, you can't put somebody, you can't call them a bomber and a victim. I mean, they don't go. You can say that he was.
You can't be the assailant and the victim
right,
at the same
exactly.
time.
And you definitely should not label them. You can't get two different labels out of the one person. Put a slot in two different things for this one guy.
Right.
I mean, that would have to be two different people.
But this, you know what? If that's the example, then that means all these numbers they come up with, and we're going to be able to show that with numbers later on in some of these articles, go to show that, all right, so we have criminals that hurt people, and we have people that hurt the criminals in stopping them from doing bad things.
Right.
Add those numbers together because everybody's a victim, the criminals and the good people.
Okay.
Now you've got a larger number of gun violence.
Yeah,
a larger number of gun
because
victims.
if basically the more vague you are and the less information you put out, they're all victims, but it doesn't tell you why or who or any circumstance. When you don't have any circumstances, how can you make the call? So you're just seeing the numbers and it's fooling you.
This is how they get their statistics to go up in front of everybody and look so scientific.
They do the same thing with school violence. They include crimes that are on school property that are not school shootings. They include gang shootings that are near school property, things that happen at night, things that happen, stuff that doesn't even relate, but it
doesn't even pertain
right to what everyone kind of thinks of as school violence.
It's so ridiculous. This is what it's come down to. And you know what? There's no accountability. There's nobody to make these people do the right thing and give us actual numbers of what's really going on. It's kind of like Santa Maria with the council.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, because they said no, we're not a bad city.
Right.
These things don't happen. Those
They're counting those wrong.
Yeah.
We're reporting them to the FBI incorrectly, so we're going to fix that so that our city doesn't look quite as bad.
Yeah.
As if all that isn't happening, it doesn't change the fact that these are crimes that have been committed. But how
really
we're counting them is going to be the big difference.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I just that article when I saw that part with the guy being counted as part of the violence or a victim of the gun just blew me away. It's a real short one, so I had to kind of include that in. Even the next article we have, Bloomberg to spend $50 million to challenge NRA on gun safety. This is an interesting one too. It was actually out on CNN. it goes on to talk about a lot of stuff. Number one, former New York City Mayor Bloomberg has pledged $50 million to his new group, Every Town for Gun Safety. And it's an umbrella organization for the two other control groups, as I said, Mayors Against Illegal Guns and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Now, one of the main things that they're planning on doing is going after the NRA and using the NRA tactics to compete with them, to get people out there to listen and to join up with them and do everything. But I think Kadani made a really good statement earlier, and that was that I got to see if I can even articulate it the same as you did, but the amount of money that he's spending and the amount of money that the NRA is spending, the NRA is doing a much better job and can do the job better.
Yeah, the NRA is only spending a fraction of what Bloomberg's trying to throw at it and dump at it to get the same point across. But like you said, that they're using the same tactics, but the NRA is way more effective at delivering that.
Been doing it for a while.
Exactly, yeah. And you gotta, I mean, in my mind at least, the NRA has a just fight. I mean, Bloomberg is making this stuff up. I mean, even the name, you know, the all cities without gun, whatever it's called. I mean, that's just like a pet name for this thing. I mean, that sounds.
It is, but think of this too. In a sense, well, don't we all want safer cities? We all want.
Yeah, don't we?
Yeah.
But do we want them without guns?
Well, true. But
then
the
you are
name
totally
itself
for
is going to
violence.
bring people.
The way you phrased that.
No, that's not what I just said.
Yes, no, we all want a very safe town, and we don't want gun violence to be prevalent where we live. But how we deliver that idea and make that happen is very different.
Right.
Very true. Here's another thing. The group, which it's the same tactics that the NRA use. They go after areas where they have pro-gun rights, or anti-gun legislation and stuff, and they try to dispel the falsehoods of what the anti-gunners are putting out. Well, now Bloomberg is going to go the opposite direction. He's going to go to states like Texas, Montana, Indiana, and he's going to try to educate people there on how more children are wounded by guns because guns are around, how women who are victims of violence, are more likely to be hurt.
87% of women survive their home invasion.
Oh my God!
I know that was pretty gnarly.
Again,
the acceptable 13%.
It's acceptable that they get raped and maimed and hurt, so long as they don't die and they don't shoot anybody, because that gun's going to get taken away from them and they're going to get shot anyways. Why even try to fight against it? Just let it happen.
And that's something. I mean, we've heard it. I mean, I know Joe and I and Kanani have heard it a lot, and we hear that. Just people. Oh well, a female's going to get the gun ripped out of her hand. Well, not if she's pressing the dang trigger.
Right.
I mean, and
not if she stops the guy before it gets closest to her.
And that's just another one of those tactics of they get the information, eschew it, and then give it to the public.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if you don't know about whatever, this case it's shooting, but if you don't know about a certain sport, why would you'd pretty much take for granted what somebody told you. I mean, if it was, because you would have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't already know.
Exactly.
Right. Here's another interesting fact, or not fact, let me rephrase that.
Another point made in the CNN article.
Yes.
Nice.
The groups, moms, the mothers and stuff like that, these guys are manipulating what women want, and they're trying to play on emotions. For instance, they say, moms are afraid that our children will be taken away. That's because they're afraid that they're going to get shot.
That's what they're
because guns are around.
Yeah.
And they want many other moms to believe that and believe that guns are going to create a very bad situation. Let's take a look at this from I don't know, a common sense point of view. If we have guns in the house, we should do a few things. If we have children that are of a certain age, guns should be locked up. It's a parent's responsibility.
Yeah.
In California, that's the law.
Well, it is.
That's the law.
Now, here's another thing, is once a child gets to a certain age, don't we need to take the curiosity away?
Yeah.
Totally. That's the one. That's a big one that rings with me. Because you take the curiosity away. I think that's a huge part of the battle. And we've seen that happen many times.
You have to lead by example.
Totally.
You need to if you're going to have a gun, you need to practice with it. If you're going to practice with it and you have a child that gets to a certain maturity level where the gun, he should be seeing it because, hey, whether he's played games, watched movies, or done whatever in this world, He should be going with you and watching to see what you do to protect yourself and your family. He needs to learn how to do that for himself and for his family when he gets older.
Yeah, and
you're building structure.
And kids are smart. They're gonna know, they're gonna one day find out that dad has a gun, no matter what, most likely.
Right.
And if they've been hiding it from their whole life, they're definitely gonna pick it up and do something.
They're going to want to look at it.
Just
and
look
they're
at it.
gonna
Be
have
curious.
no idea
Exactly.
how to handle the gun, how to responsibly check it, to
Whereas,
make sure it's unloaded.
you know, the kid who was, you know, his dad or his parents were shooters, or maybe he was in the Cub Scouts and did firearm safety. He's going to be the one that says, "Hey, don't touch that right yet. Wait until an adult gets here," or just says the common sense thing.
Or might even know how to clear a gun and make sure it's unloaded.
Exactly.
These are the kind of responsibilities that parents should be taking. And granted, we still have to be vigilant because it's going to be the other kids that come over to the houses that have no experience. They're going to be the ones that hurt our kids that do have experience. But our kids aren't necessarily going to want to go pick up the gun because I go with mom and dad shooting every once a month or every other week.
Yeah, they're familiar with it and they're acquainted with how to properly use it and handle it.
Right. And if you do it all the time and you're out shooting steel targets and shooting bottles and having fun, it's just you're gonna be like, well, why would I play with that in the house? There's nothing. I'm not gonna destroy my house.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on.
It just.
Well, I got two other questions I'd like to really ask you guys.
Okay.
Number one, is Shannon Watts a mother?
Very good question.
How many
She's
kids
part
does
of the
she
group,
have?
right?
Yeah.
She's president.
We don't know that. You know what I'm
No.
saying? You don't know. She could have just formed this group. This could be some lawyer
be a
that
ruse.
decided, a
Totally.
complete ruse. Because look at the very next one. Now, if you're a Tea Partier, you're
Okay.
going to be under scrutiny to get a 501c4.
But yet the
But
IRS.
not here.
Yeah.
Not here. They're gonna have one. You can get unlimited monies. Is what it states right in here.
Unbelievable,
This is
isn't it?
CNN that wrote this thing. So I want to ask two questions. How easy is it for her to get a 501c4? In other words, you can get as much money as you want to.
Hey,
because
when
you're
you've
not really,
got influence coming from people like Bloomberg and other mayors and stuff like that,
Right.
and not just
Right.
mayors, but up the ladder,
Exactly.
they're going to get special treatment, special preference, which
and
is
Shannon really a mother?
that's a good question,
I bet
and
you
I don't
she's
have
a
the answer to
lawyer.
that.
Yeah, a lawyer who's not a mother.
Hey, let's
probably.
just say that maybe she could be a lawyer.
Hey, maybe we'll get a caller to find out this and give us a call and let us know.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. What's the number here again?
1-888-625-1440 or 805-928-1440.
Give us a call and let us know. Is she a mother or just another lawyer? Or a mother of a lawyer?
Or all the above.
All right.
And have they gotten their 501c4?
501c4. Yeah, that seems a little bit much.
You know, speaking of getting money, okay, so they're going to have unlimited funds from the IRS. Where does that money come from?
No. They can solicit an
They can solicit
unlimited amount of
okay.
money because now they will be tax exempt.
So basically, there's no cap.
Right.
Okay.
What 501(c) is, in other words, you can form a political action committee, for instance. No, I'm sorry, not a PAC. Forgive me, that's wrong. You can form a committee that you believe in your focus. In other words, Tea Party people, things like that, or like Christians do the same thing for theirs, but there's not a for. It's a political thing. But it says right there, as an IRS classification used to raise unlimited amounts of money to influence voters.
Yeah.
Do they have one?
Yeah.
That should be illegal.
Well, I mean, it's... I don't know. I mean, I see the point of it, but I mean, if you have the means to get all the money in the world and throw it at something,
the
then why don't
IRS
you know?
also does things like this. I mean, not the IRS, the NRA. They solicit money, and they do try to instill people or install people with certain values and everything else into positions. So I guess it is fair play.
You can form a committee that says fathers to support good gun control, and list it as a nonprofit and go for a 501c4. The same thing. You could do the same thing.
Maybe we should.
Maybe
I
we
am
should.
a father.
And you know
I'm
what?
not a lawyer.
No. But since
And
you're
you
the father,
legitimately have two children.
but since I'm not a father, I should be the one that starts this whole father.
Yeah, because you're in the lawyer family. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We went the wrong direction. We should be like Watts.
Yeah, we gotta totally BS it.
So that's one way they can go out and get money. I like this next thing too. President of Everytown, John Feinblatt, said the group's 34,000 donors will also play a critical role in rivaling the NRA. 34,000 people is really not that many people.
Well, yeah.
How many people do the NRA have? In the millions?
Millions, yes.
Millions.
I wonder how much money all these donors are going to put in. I mean, if they only put in $1, that's only $34,000 out of 50 million or more.
I mean, put it this way: if they put in $100 each, it's still 340 grand, which doesn't even come close to the 50 million. So I mean, they're really gonna have to put in big to start touching what Bloomberg started.
Very true. Although, unless these groups are all big players like Soros and a bunch of other people that have all kinds of money,
it's going to be hard to put that.
Then 34,000 people could end up to being 34 million really quick.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
well, that's
it's scary. Exactly. Just unbelievable. This is the kind of stuff that they're trying to do out there, and I don't get it. Well, time has been flying by very quickly, hasn't it? All right, one last thing. This is something that we should all pay attention to, and it's the last bit of this article. Bloomberg's activism for gun safety increased after repeated mass shootings. His efforts to expand background checks after the massacre of Sandy Hook Elementary failed to pass either the House or the Senate, despite pressure from the Obama administration. The organization wants to expand background checks, keep guns out of hands of domestic abusers, crack down on gun trafficking, and educate parents about safe storage of guns.
They want to do all that, huh?
Don't we all want to do that already? And don't we already have laws on the books?
Yeah, we do. I was actually just about to say that. And I was going to say the other half of that is that, so they're going to increase the pressure to ban guns after mass shootings. They're using their emotional tactics.
Right.
Good point.
Ruling
That's exactly
by emotion never is good.
And that's exactly what Shannon Watts was saying, though, is that we need to, women are very emotional, so we want to be sure that we pounce right when it's ready.
Yeah.
Very well
when
put.
they're very receptive to it. So.
But I mean, and that's a good point. I mean, if he really well, I don't know, but if he really cared, doing it right after mass shootings isn't perfect. I don't think. You know, I mean,
that's like
he would be doing it anyway. Let's just say.
Well, he would be doing it anyway. But you notice you also don't hear the NRA jumping on right after a mass shooting to start pushing that we should all have gun safety. We should all have gun safety.
Right.
You know, their strategy is very different. You know, they take that moment to step back and let the families do what they need to do, let all the news come out, and then just continue their ongoing what they've been doing all these years.
Right.
That's common sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It
to
really
not
is.
run headfirst into it before you look before you leap. But
it's the same tactics you use at home, especially those of us who are parents or have had children or have siblings that we've had to watch over. When you get mad, do you scold your parent, you scold your child and do everything? No, you're supposed to go walk away, calm down, and then come back, discuss it with them, and provide punishment.
Right, accountability. I mean, it may not be punishment per se, but, hold them accountable to whatever it is that they did.
I agree.
So,
Unbelievable. We do have another article here. Bloomberg's Every Town for Gun Safety, saving you from you.
Oh, I've been waiting for somebody to save me from years.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to hit that article up. But before we do take a break, I do have a request out there for everybody. Santa Maria Motorcycles, formerly Harley Davidson of Santa Maria. I'd like to get as many people as I can this next week to walk in there, ask for Martin, and say, "Hey, I heard about you on the firing line." With Jim Jones Nani.
Nice.
I think that would be really neat. They've been giving us a lot of money to help keep this show alive. Of course, guns and Harleys, you'd think they kind of go together, but and they've been helping a lot with that.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So as many people as we can, even if you don't buy anything, or if you go in there and at least buy a T-shirt, a hat, or something. They have all kinds of neat
I would
stuff.
say their new shop and showroom is so awesome that it'd be pretty easy to go in there and find something that just about anybody could like. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff in there.
Right.
But yeah, just go in there and check them out. Let them know that you heard about them on the firing line, and they'll be stoked. You'll be stoked. It's a win-win.
Well, and think of it this way. He's been giving us money. At least it will show that in sponsoring this show, it is benefiting his shop as well as him supporting us and keeping the Second Amendment fight strong so that we can continue to have these rights.
Yep.
All right, so we'll be right back with you on the firing line.
You're listening to On the Firing Line on the Information Station.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
On the air with the Midnight Mystic is one of our regular callers, truck driver Charlie.
Well, I just seen another one, Midnight Mystic.
Another Griffin, Charlie?
I'm telling you, they're all over the Central Coast now.
How long have you been on the road now, Charlie?
2, 5, 8 weeks, I don't know.
Perhaps you should park the truck and get some sleep, and maybe the Griffins will disappear.
Well, there it is again. I'm going after it.
What does it look like, Charlie?
Holy mackerel. It's got the body of a lion and the head of an eagle.
Is it flying, Charlie?
It's on the side of a white truck.
Is it a Griffin plumbing truck, Charlie?
Could be. I don't know. I'm pulling right up to it.
We seem to have lost contact with Charlie, but I'm sure he'll be okay because Griffins, just like the good folks at Griffin Plumbing, are here to protect and serve. In fact, if your plumbing devices are threatened in any way,
call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440.
All right, we're back on the Firing Line. What do we got next here? We got every town for gun safety, right? So is that really what we want? I mean, we want gun safety, yeah, but are they doing this the right way? I think that's the question.
Saving you from you. Connie, you want to lead with this one? Because I know you got some stuff to say about this.
Let it out.
Sure. I was just kind of cruising through the article, and looks like about halfway through. Let's see. Connor Higgins writes, those gun nuts at the NRA seem to think that they're qualified to teach children the tenets of responsible gun ownership at an early age, an effort the NRA has been pursuing for decades. Well, I think their effort is actually happening. They are producing children who can handle firearms safely. And then secondly, what on earth do the Every Town for Gun Safety think that they're qualified to teach children about gun safety?
Well, I think that's just it. They're not qualified to teach,
they're not.
And they don't think anybody else is, and they don't think children have the common sense or the ability to learn anything. They're just all dumb, so they need to legislate it all.
Yeah, or that parents even have the ability to teach their children about gun safety themselves. I mean, it's realistically not that hard to teach gun safety.
It isn't.
No, yeah. Keep your finger off the trigger. Don't sweep anybody with the muzzle. And that's going to be most of the ball game right there.
That's right there, so...
Oh my God! But this is how it's done, right?
I mean, it's it's just like everything. It's like the old magic trick, Look over here for a second.
Yeah, the propaganda to push their own agenda.
Pure propaganda.
Pure.
I was talking with John before we came to the shop, and one thing that he made mention that I totally forgot to talk about earlier was, okay, mayors against gun violence. What mayor in the United States wants gun violence?
I would hope none of them.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, hello.
Yeah, stating the obvious. That's like mayors against murder.
But you know how they phrase the question, though? It can either mean that you are or aren't against gun violence. And depending on how they ask you, you may end up having to say, no, I'm all for gun violence, simply by how they phrase the question.
Yeah, just by default. That's true.
Right.
And then before you know it, you're another evil gun
Right.
owner. Oh, he wants the violence. You know, like you think I am. You know, just some crazy.
That's why. So the ETGS, they have it down. They know how to make this all better and figure this all out to make us all safer. And
yeah, even though they're a totally new organization, they know well better than the NRA that's been doing this for years. And they have a very successful, youth class, the youth program that they run. And I mean, they certify instructors that do youth classes. I'd say they're doing their part.
That's just it. And they've taken these things, they broke them down into common sense things. Like I said earlier, the Eddie Eagle program.
Yeah,
that is a good program to get started with. It teaches children a few different things. Number one, hey, if you don't know anything about a gun, stop, back away, go tell somebody about it. And then as they get older, we can start teaching them. It's a responsibility of the parent, just like you said.
Yeah.
Teach that child so that if they come across it in their house, or if some jerk that your mom's dating because she's divorced comes over and leaves a gun hanging out, they don't have to go around it, or they can clear it to make sure that none of the other kids in the house get hurt.
Right, or those kids could tell their friends if their friend goes, oh, I heard your dad has a gun. I want to go find it.
Yeah,
Let's
the
go
old
see it. Let's go look at
schoolyard
it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good point. I didn't even really think of it from there. But yeah, they get together at lunchtime and hey, at 3 o'clock after school, let's go check out
Totally
my
going to
dad's
Billy's
45
house.
or whatever. And that's when Billy needs to go, heck no,
Wait,
we're not
no,
going to
we're
my
not.
house.
Yeah.
It just, oh my God, it just gets me so much because we're talking about kids now. It's kind of verted over to this. Is these kind of people and these kind of organizations exploit children. This
totally.
is an exploit of children and of women, just like what we were talking about. And it's so ridiculous, playing off the emotions and just using people like that, period. It's wrong. It's debauchery.
I'm looking more into this. Is so crazy.
Well, let's hear it. What do you got?
Just every time for gun safety, I mean, they're saying that the problem, the skyrocketing apocalyptic levels of gun violence that left America strewn with bullet-ridden corpses. I mean, what the heck?
Well, I walk down the street and I take a walk every night, and I see at least 4 or 5 bodies on the side of the road.
I can't take the dogs for a
Sirens
walk
going
without
off.
shooting like 3 or 4
Without stumbling
rounds.
over a few dead bodies,
Yeah,
right?
or shooting the gun off myself.
Right.
I mean, it happens. I mean, really, that's what they're making this sound like.
On my street, on my block, we used to have about 400 children.
My gun
We're
shoots
down to
itself.
about 100.
Yeah, all because of guns shooting themselves too, probably.
Yeah.
Well, there's bigger problems out there that are facing children besides guns. There's child abuse, domestic violence, there's pools.
Yeah.
Speaking of what that...
Well, children drowning is a
totally.
big issue.
It is.
Knives.
Yeah, knives.
Scissors, sharpened pencil.
Well,
we can
week-
take it anywhere on that
Just
point.
a week ago,
That's
how many
true.
kids died? 2?
That's true.
Did they actually die? I thought there was 4 critically wounded and they were still in the hospital.
Okay, so
But
I thought
regardless-
last thing I heard, because I was still flying. Last thing I heard it was 2. I thought had died, but I could be wrong. I'm sorry, but 12 were stabbed, right?
Yeah.
I believe, it was a
And a
dozen.
security guard. Hey,
Knife sharpeners.
Well, exactly. I mean, we've said it a million times
I mean,
on the
we should
show
teach
that
them how to
it's
use a
not
knife
the
sharpener.
object, it's the person.
the money, the $50 million.
The 50 million.
Think about that.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that money could have gone for to help.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah,
is
that kid. From what I understand, he didn't even realize he was doing it. How do you get there?
there's some
Really?
mental issues
I'm
there,
serious.
or
There's
he really
something
did
wrong, right?
realize it.
He didn't realize he'd done this?
Yeah.
Was he in a dream?
Sounds like
Video
the
game?
same
Yeah.
ploy from the guy that went into the movie theater.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Well,
yeah.
that guy was
Who
nuts.
planned
Yeah.
it out, knew that there was going to be nobody with guns to
Yeah, who
go
went
up
in the
against him.
back door through, didn't he throw like smokes or something?
Yeah,
I mean, he just
taped the doors shut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
locked
but
it
he
shut.
didn't know
Yeah.
what he was doing, and he's crazy. Well, he's crazy, yeah, but he knew what he was doing.
These guys need to take responsibility.
I think, you know what, as you guys were just sitting there talking and I was listening, I think some things like this, like especially with the Bloomberg, these guys are egomaniacs.
They
They
are.
really want to, I mean, to say, we have not said it yet, have we?
No.
Kanani, I give it to you. Please read us the statement that ex-mayor
yes.
Bloomberg said
Let me pull that up
about
here.
himself.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable. I can't
Are you
believe
ready for this, folks? I'm sure you read this or seen this. This was all over the magazines.
Oh, my God.
And
Okay.
the internet and everything. I take it away, Kanani.
Yeah, this was printed on April 16th from theexaminer.com. About halfway down their article, the author says, quote, But if he senses that he may not have as much time left as he would like, he has little doubt about what would await him at Judgment Day. Pointing to his work on gun safety, obesity, and smoking cessation, he said with a grin, speaking of Bloomberg, "I am telling you, if there is a God, when I get to heaven, I'm not stopping to be interviewed. I'm heading straight in. I have earned my place in heaven, and it's not even close."
So,
and he says
yeah.
that everywhere. I mean, a lot of different outlets and a lot of different television shows, and that he firmly believes that that is the case.
So
Sorry,
is he
Michael.
doing it to get to heaven? Is that why he's forming this
He's
whole
not
$50 million
getting in,
deal?
dude.
He bought a golden stairway to heaven.
Yeah, but he's not getting in.
He got the Disneyland Fast Pass to go right to the front of the line.
Yeah, oh my gosh. You know, that's what you really got to think about. Because if he really wanted to do something for kids, why didn't he just build a school?
Yeah. I
A
mean,
charter
that's,
school.
That's the good,
$50 million
that's the
to
good
build probably 2
Why
charter
doesn't he just
schools.
proclaim himself the next Jesus?
Well, I think that's
I mean,
He kind of just
hey,
did. I mean, yeah, he says he's
Or
not
at
even
least
going
come out and say it.
He just said he's not even going to have to talk to God on Judgment Day. It's-
Peter's the one at the gate. You know, Peter's the one who's got the keys to heaven. So maybe that's what he meant. I'm not even talking to Peter because I've surpassed him. He was just an apostle
Right,
that was killed.
Peter's up
And
there
then he
laughing
and then
at
he
the gates.
says
I can
that-
hear it ringing now.
He says that he's earned his guaranteed right to heaven because he limits soft drinks, cigarettes, and firearms. No, that's not those things. Like it doesn't. I don't see where the relevance is. I mean, this guy is just
Well, that's
out
what
to.
I'm saying. Maybe that $50 million is an egotistical.
Well,
you know,
if
thing
it
for him.
was
It's just
egotistical,
one
he would have
God.
gone 1 billion.
What? Yeah, he's got.
Yeah,
he's got a lot
you know,
of money.
Peter's going to grab him by the scruff of the neck and say, you know,
Oops.
those guns that you took away from them, you stopped a lot of good people that had plans that God had in place from doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
God
Wow.
who created mountains surely could do something about people's weight if they want. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is maniacal that he would say something like this. That
Yeah,
that
and
he
it's-
would say is such an. I mean, yeah, we
Well-
want gun safety. It killed us to see those kids. No pun intended. It killed us to hear about kids who get shot or whatever. We're not idiots here. The thing of it
Exactly.
is that there's a backstory to this. I'd like to see a real documentary about the backstory. One I did see was one about the Tennessee kid, the young kid at 10 years old, and then the kid down there in Florida, and then there was another one, and how they grew up. You know, one of them died of a drug overdose. One of them was he's been in and out of jail. You know, their lives are over. Totally. I mean, you don't get away from this. You know, when you kill more than the kid in Tennessee, they killed 11 children and a teacher. So, you know, why can't we prevent it some way, somehow? And we say about the games and stuff like that, but there's more than that. It's got to be just more than that. Some reason, some kid took a knife last week and didn't even realize he was stabbing 12 people.
Yeah,
how do you get there?
How do you get there? You know, it comes down to families and how they deal with things as a unit, and it comes down to again, you know, to parents holding children accountable for their actions and making them have to think about what they're going to do before they do it. It doesn't necessarily mean that a family has to make their child a cow or a sheep, you know, to follow like everybody else. They can still think for themselves, but hopefully they respect life enough that when they do think about things.
And it's a basic understanding of right, wrong, good,
Exactly.
bad. You know?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly. I think that's really where it's at.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, you know. I mean, it's either right or it's wrong.
That's what these guys need to be approaching from. If they really want to make a safer country, then go to the law enforcement and instead of making new laws, ensure that there's a place for the bad guys to go when they enforce the laws that are already on the books.
Yeah.
Or at least teach, you know, I'm always back into a Christian thing because that's what I am. But I mean, show them the 10 Commandments. Show them things. These are moral rights. These are things that you should be you should care about other people. Don't kill them. Care about them.
Pretty much every religion in the world has a code of ethics of some sort.
Sure.
Yeah.
Except for the Church of Satan, maybe. But even they have their own commandments. They're just a little warped.
But you know, it starts somewhere. You gotta teach your kids somewhere, somehow. Find out. I mean, you know, hey. And they're blaming on everything else, OCD, you know, HDD, this, that.
Oh, yeah.
All those three-letter words, you know. I mean,
You can point fingers all day long.
Yeah, right.
And those are people out there that want to say, well, you can't teach everybody that. You know what? That's BS. Look what the military does for our Marines and other people out there.
They teach everybody.
They teach them what? Respect. They teach them
honor, courage. I mean, they instill values that are there for their not just that person, but for their whole family, generations to come.
And they love it
gets
when they're
instilled.
done.
Yeah, 99% of them love it. Exactly.
One of the things that I heard when I was young, it kind of bothered me a little, and it still bothers me to this day. They said, we gave up teaching our kid how to tie his shoes, man. He was never going to get it, so we got him Velcro.
Oh,
what?
They took the easy way out.
The defeatist victim.
They used defeatist. Right, exactly. Kid was like 9 or 10 years old. Still didn't tie his shoes.
No, it's like you see the 10-year-old in the stroller. You know, I mean, you see it. I'm sure you've seen it.
You know, I liken that to video games, movies that have ratings on them.
That's a great point. Because why can't a parent judge it for himself if they can just look at the back and say, "Oh, it says you got to be 18. Put it away and go get one that says 13."
Hey, check it out for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Do a little bit of research. I mean, it's not like it's hard to do research these days. Everybody owns some way of doing research.
No, but then people like Sharon Watts is more interested in totally something different than protecting her kids in that way. You know what I'm saying?
And I think you got the right point there. Exactly that these groups, they're not really interested in protecting the children the same way that we sit here and think about protecting them. They're thinking about protecting them in a completely different way, taking that responsibility away from the parents and saying that those kids need to be doing what we say that they should be doing, and they should be doing it in our way. And if you don't do it in our way, then you're completely wrong and you're completely off the mark.
And you're going to become a criminal because we're going to pass laws to make sure that.
And even, let's just say if there's 4 or 5 parents from the school, all of them they make these decisions by looking at the ratings, and then Tommy has a whatever slumber party, and he has the R-rated video game.
Exactly.
And now that parent gets chastised because, they let their son play Call of Duty. That's just bad.
Which is ridiculous. You know,
it all goes back to it being a video game.
I let my kids play that game, but we've talked so much about what's going on, what their thoughts are,
you should know what your kid is. I mean, let's face it.
Right.
If you think your kid can play that game and you're like, hey, my kid's a little bit more sensible and he understands what he's doing, he understands the game and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, that's where it should really be at.
Right.
And then parents would be more involved.
Yes,
they would.
They would be more involved. I don't know. This one drives me crazy.
It does.
I like what Kanani was saying because I was agreeing with her 100% there. It's about people. Now it's about people wanting to say, this is my way and you're going to find it.
Yeah, it's a power thing. I mean,
exactly.
It's like we've been talking about
egotistical.
today. People.
That's why I want to find out if she has a kid.
You just didn't,
I want to find out.
Is she a mother or not?
Yeah, right. Or
is she really a mother against guns, or is she just a woman against guns?
Well, what's funny though is that, kind of bring it back all around, is that this nanny state is telling us all the things that we can't do, and we can't drink soda, and we can't smoke, and we can't, do whatever it is that they say we can't do. But the difference being is that owning a firearm is our constitutional right.
Right.
Yeah. Drinking soda and smoking is not.
And a lot of men have gone out and died for that right to be preserved.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Along with all the other rights.
So.
Yeah.
Wow. I've enjoyed this show today. This has been great. And it's a good way to lead into an Easter weekend too, because it gives food for thought. I'm like Jim, believe in Jesus, and I want to say Happy Easter to everybody out there.
Happy Easter.
Because I do believe in it. I don't believe in the egg part necessarily. And yes, we do color eggs, except this year I'm trying to get out of it. But finally the kids are of a certain age.
Matt went to avocados. He just went.
I'm switching it up. That way I don't have to have a party. Nobody likes them.
Rolling avocados, that'd be kind of tough.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yes. Well, a rotten avocado might smell a lot better than a rotten egg, the one that doesn't get found.
Ew.
Yeah, that was my plan.
Oh my God, time is quickly eluding us here.
Yep. So I don't know. I guess kind of the moral: keep your eyes open. I mean, keep your ear to the ground. There's a lot of stuff. What you see and hear is not necessarily fact at all. I mean,
think for yourself.
Use your own judgment.
Think for yourself very much.
One of the best things I've ever heard in my life is when I seen a documentary on people committing suicide and those who did not make it. Okay, they didn't complete the issue. The best one was the guy on the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. He said he jumped off the bridge. I don't want to get through the whole story, but he said he jumped off the bridge. He's about 5 feet away from the bridge, and he realized, this isn't a good idea.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. If we could tell them just 5 feet before they do that. Well, if we could get to them before then and say, look, that's not a good idea.
You're right.
Yeah, that's where it's really at. Then they won't go kill 12 kids with their father's gun or something, whatever it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If we just find out, if we just really keep our eyes open.
Preventative instead of reactive, I mean,
I'm not saying go to your neighbor's house and search it out. I'm talking about looking in your own home. Looking in your own.
Yeah.
Exactly. Take care of your home first.
That's right. Eat where make sure your children have to eat at a table. Eat as a group of people.
My granddaughter
that's
makes
a hell
us
of
do
a
that.
start right there, because that creates talk. people start figuring out what their kids are thinking about and everything else. God, it's not the Bloomberg way, but we kind of jumped way off of Bloomberg. But this all pertains right back to what
all this stuff
we're smarter
stems
than
off
he
of
is
it.
in this situation, I believe. We're looking at it from an idea as a family, not as a. Oh, I don't want to say.
Well,
it.
we're
Go
taking the perspective of the individual responsibility versus the entire body
Populace,
of everyone as one giant collective.
Because we're just, let's face it, we're not one giant. You know, I mean,
No.
everybody's a little different. We got to work that way, especially if we want a better future. Everybody needs to work at it, not just let the government tell us what to do.
And every single person can make that difference.
Right. In this mentality and what we've taught or what we've expressed today, I think that all of us will be able to see that with this common sense, come November, we might be able to vote in some really good people and get this show on the road the correct way. So, hey, everybody, have a happy Easter. We will be talking with you again next weekend.